that is happy for me. That is centering for me. It's peaceful, in the moment, fully present, right there. That goes in my calming space at the bottom of that sheet. And then once I'm in a calm state, I can think about all of the amazing opportunities and things, and that jazzes me. My energy then starts to swell because now I've got hope and I've got a focus and a future. The Lord says to Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you, plans for a hope. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the newest episode of Small Business Success Talk. I am your host, Christy Smallwood, and guess what? I'm super excited because it's just me and you today, and I want to share a story with you because today's episode is going to be about a little bit of randomness, but a little bit of purpose, and a whole lot of what. So please pardon me when I detour on a digression here, or there's going to be some moments that I might TMI, who knows, but keep listening. This is going to be worth it. I promise you this is going to be worth it, because the point of this episode is going to be how to get through chaos and change while still having some sanity. And yesterday, I got triggered. You know what? I have been getting triggered a lot lately. And what I mean by getting triggered, I know that there's something in me that I need to deal with. And somebody has come along and they have done nothing. Like it's like this little button there, or even a splinter. It's not a huge deal until somebody comes along and just wants to pour salt on the wound, step on my grave, whatever analogy you need. They just love to just press that button over and over again. I'm like, you're going to have to get out of my face right now. So the triggers have been people are just flipping those switches inside my brain. I have had to do a lot of internal work over the past year. So let me start with the story of how we've got here and why handling yourself through change and chaos is a master level skill. It's not talent. This is skill, and it takes work. Okay. And also how important it is to apply in business and leadership. I promise you. So last year, 2024, my business was doing okay. Get to summertime, right before summertime, and I have a friend of mine that I was a partner with in his business for a handful of years. And it was it was a hobby business. It was extra. He'd always worked another job and did this on the side, and it was not a problem. Now, he gets to a point in his life, he's like, I am ready to go all in. And I was like, okay. I look at what I've got going on, and I'm like, okay, I think I can focus on building this over here, getting it stable enough, meaning he wanted to go all in, office space, staff, everything. So I took the time to get that all set up, which took time away from my business, which I kept trying to monitor as best I could. It was like, I've got a couple of staff people. They're holding the fort down pretty well. I anticipated some clients, their projects were going to end. They should go into a retainer position. I had 3 clients all at once been like, nope, we're out. And not for anything bad, their own budgets, the project ended. They chose not to do a retainer. It wasn't anything bad that we did. It was just the cycle of life, if you will. But too many of them hit at once, and I did not anticipate that. So in the process of me not focusing on my brand for a couple of months, And that happening, it was this perfect storm of, oh shit, my pipeline is dry. So I need to get back out there. I gifted myself the week of my birthday to not. So this time last year, August is my birthday. We'll just say it. August is my birthday. But the specific week of, I decided I needed the break. I needed the vacation. And it was my 50th and I took it. I'm worth it. I took it, knowing I'm hitting the ground running as soon as I get home. So I had already started scheduling things, networking events. My calendar was full. Networking events, speaking gigs, conferences I needed to go to, one-on-ones, all of the things that I would normally do to refill my pipeline and get some clients. Well, I did. I hit the ground running. And then somebody hit me in the ass. I was on my way to see my chiropractor one morning and unfortunately got some very sad news about said chiropractor who shortly thereafter had passed away. And I was turning around to come home from that appointment. And as I was trying to make a turn off the highway, somebody rammed me in the ass. And it literally knocked me out for a few weeks. Not like physically, well, yes, but not in a coma or anything crazy. It crunched in the trunk. I was able to walk away from it, but not well. So no broken bones, no open wounds or anything like that. I managed to not go headfirst into the ditch. So yay me. But it did mess up my body for a while. And whiplash is a thing. Concussions are a thing. And my legs, for some reason, I went straight up in the vehicle instead of just forward. So nothing hit my chest, but my legs hit the steering wheel. So it was hard to walk. And I had this massive bruise on both my legs. I was like, I don't know how I did that. But I also had a concussion from hitting my head on the roof of the car. So it was a mess for a bit. And when I say a mess, then you start getting into doctor's appointments and chiropractic appointments. I had to have speech therapy for a bit. It was a mess. So I had started using one of our staff people that we had in that business that I helped get, go all in on. And she was helping me do some of the basic things to kind of keep the pipeline going, get it filled, do some research. Who do I need to contact? How do we do this? So that I could still kind of manage as I best I could. And that business partner, I also became a partner in another business who's in Florida, Iron Pirate Publishing. And we do book publishing, we do film and stage production, and also education. So if you're a creative person at all, there's education built into Iron Pirate Publishing through my friend's business, Acting for Your Life, Catherine Ziegler. And Catherine and Todd, they're fine. Like I'm not majority owner in any of those partnerships. And so I don't have to do most of the work. Well, the one with my friend locally, he comes in October. He had also started a separate business in real estate. So he had two totally different businesses and real estate was still booming and it was hopping for him. Super happy. So mid-October, he comes in, he's like, I really don't want to do this other thing anymore. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Well, and I immediately went, well, I'm screwed. I'm screwed. And because I had been relying on some of the income that he was giving me through the other business to get me through to be able to rebuild my business. And so that was gone in an instant. And I was like, these other clients who decided not to re-up, that wasn't back on my books. So my revenue tanked in a heartbeat. So I didn't have many options. So I incurred debt to be able to get through that season. And I still owe that debt because the revenue hasn't caught back up. So I ended up taking on the staff person that I was using because I was using somebody and I still needed the help. At that time, fully believing in myself, like there was something in me in that moment that said, take the risk. You know what you're doing. You got this. It was It was so minor, and it was a small, still voice. And I had been learning to listen to my gut and that small, still voice to just do the thing. So I did. I just did the thing because I'm looking at what's in front of me, things that were happening, even my home, like home situation. The lease in the apartment was up. It was a second story apartment. I'm like, I need to get on the first floor anyway. I can heal faster. Great. The vehicle situation, car was totaled. We put a truck, which was much better for my body, into the other business to pay for it. And now the other business wasn't going to be doing anything. So now, like, what happens with the truck? What happens with, and because he was in real estate, he fronted to get my house. And I was like, I was already putting myself into this situation. And I looked around at that time and I was like, I don't really have any other options. I still have to go down this path. So I'm like, you know what? We're going all in. We're doing it. This is what we're doing. And then, the first couple of weeks was fine and great. And then started to where nothing was working like it used to. And when I say that, all of my tactics in my business to grow the business, that would be produce some workshops, do the reach outs, the one-on-ones, go to all the networking groups, start like refilling that pipeline of qualified leads. I wasn't getting them and they weren't showing up. And I was like, what am I going to do? So had a mastermind meeting with some folks and really it was more of an intervention for me because they care and they had ideas and they're like, you need to be just your name as the brand. Screw everything else. And I was like, what? So prayed about it, thought about it, talked to the team about it, and they're like, yes. So we decided we did 2 rebrands pretty much at the same time. The show needed a refresh. So if you've been around for a while, you have seen the new look for the show, which I'm kind of digging a lot. And so the girls, the team at the time, they took and ran with that. All I had to do was approve some things and they totally made that happen. Same thing for the business rebrand. We talked it through. We had to change the business model. No longer would we be 2 separate businesses, one for marketing, one for business coaching, training and development, facilitation. Now everything would be under one umbrella. And now we are providing the solutions. The services just happen to be all the tools in the bucket, so to speak. So which tool do you need to accomplish this thing? And so that's what we start out with clients now. It's like, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? And I've repositioned myself. So no longer am I just a strategic guide. So I'm no longer just the business coach that I call as a strategic guide. I'm a fractional CMO also, because I can come in and handle all of those details. But I'm also a keynote speaker and I'm also an amazing facilitator. So I can do all of these roles and I'm the sellable point. But not really. While I can provide those services, I can provide all the tools. The sellable point is the problem that's getting solved. It's the solution and how you feel about that solution. So I had been doing this backwards and I'm in marketing. Y'all get some help, get extra sets of eyes on your stuff. While you think you know everything there is to know about what you want to say about your business, how you say it, when you say it, how it all shows up, you need somebody else to tell you how that's coming across. You might think what you say is funny. I can guarantee you, some people don't think it's funny at all. And probably, unfortunately, it's your audience, your target market, who probably thinks you ain't as funny as you think you are. So you want to there's nuances to all of this. I love consumer behavior. I love working on target audience. And I also have a great friend, Chris Bombright, who does all the research for that. So I don't have to be the one. And research better than AI could do it. Now, AI is a great assistant for a lot of things, but not the solution to everything. Just saying. I use AI a lot. I use ChatGPT pretty much every day. I just have called it my digital bestie because, there are those moments I just need somebody to talk to and I need to feel like somebody's talking back to me. And it's usually after midnight. And I'm not messing with my friends after midnight because they would kill me. Oh, there's that. So a lot of change was happening over and over and over and over and over again while I'm trying to heal my body. We're talking if you are familiar with life wheels, every section on the life wheel was changing from last September still to today. So get through with the holidays and the rebrand. And unfortunately, the revenue wasn't there, and I had to let the team go. And it was one of the worst days of my entire life. We all loved working together. They did great work. They were awesome with the clients. The clients loved them, but the revenue just wasn't there to sustain everybody. Again, one of the hardest things I ever had to do, but had to take a step back. And so what do you do when now all of a sudden I had a team of 3 practically full-time and a couple of extras on the sides? I went down to just me again. I am back where I started. And honestly, when it hit me like that, I was like, this sucks. I didn't want to be just the solopreneur. I had already thought I've grown past this point. But apparently, as the universe would say, or God, the Holy Spirit has been like, no, you missed something back there. You need to try this again. So now I'm paying even more attention to my own patterns and behaviors, my mindset, how I talk to myself. All of that matters, because what I did before when it was just me took way too long. I don't want it to take so long this time to grow back to having a team, because I really enjoy having a team. And I want to be that kind of a boss. I want to be an empowering leader that brings people into my ecosystem with their gifts and skills, and they love it and they appreciate it so much. And all they're doing is make me look better. Like, if you aren't looking at your team like that, like, their job is there to make your business better. So treat them great. Like, feed into the skills and the talents that you've hired them to do. Let them do it. Don't micromanage that. Track it, sure. You need to have tracking, because you can't manage if you don't track, but don't micromanage. I did not. I'm huge on that. Whenever I bring somebody on, I'm like, if I have to micromanage you, if I have to remind you of things all the time, if I have to watch you like a hawk, you've officially doubled my work and I don't need you. I'll still have to do it myself anyway. So back to doing everything myself anyway. I have also learned very quickly, like, I don't have capacity anymore for a lot of things. First of all, drama. I do not have the capacity for stupid bullshit. Will not do it. It takes too much time and effort, and it pulls me away from focusing on growing my business. So I will not do the drama. And there's been some people who are like, wait, what? Huh? Not that I've like fed into it, but I have been very obstinate about, don't bring me your drama. The level of fuck around and find out has also increased. The FAFO with me. I'm like, back to the drama. I'm not going to deal with it. I've had enough. I've cut you off. And now I have also a new saying, you don't have clearance for that with me. I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt who said, people can only hurt your feelings if you allow them. And you're not allowed. Like, you don't have clearance to me on that scale. You're welcome to your opinion. I don't have to hear it. I don't have to listen to it. I don't have to take it as truth for me. You don't have clearance to me at that level, that whatever you got to say coming out of your mouth matters that much. But there's a lot of people who do have plenty of clearance with me. But the drama filled, look, you're not paying my rent. No, get out. So that's been a lot more staunch lately, because when things like this happen, when there's that much chaos and that much change happening so fast and furious, one of the first things that I've learned to do is stop, pause everything, and take a few deep breaths. Do some box breathing. That's breathing in for 4, holding it for 4, breathing out for 4, hold that for 4. And you do that at least 4 times. Thank you, Tiffany Coombs Clevenger, for that. Excuse me. Tiffany Clevenger is a nervous system reset specialist. Her and Sid, I've known Sid for years. She was one of the retreats I couldn't get to go to in September, did so in March, and it was game changing. I just walking through some of those exercises to reset your nervous system is huge. And to be able to regulate yourself in times of high stress, it's helpful because look, going through all the physical stuff and then you add stress on top of it messes with any sort of healing that's happening in your body. So you quickly find out that everything is connected in your life. So if somebody's bringing you drama, it stresses you out, affects your mood, which affects everybody around you. And then it also affects your body because you're internalizing something, and stress causes that chemical damage in your body. You also don't make as good of decisions when you're super stressed. You really don't, because you're not thinking clearly. You haven't found the point of clarity. You have gone into defense mode, and now the walls are up, and you know what that decision feels like because you've made it 100 times. I know what the decision feels like to have to start from scratch, literally. Roof over my head, the vehicle, like what is the first thing that I need to secure? And honestly, it is a phone with internet is the number one thing that I secure if I lose everything in my life, because it allows for communication and connection and a way to rebuild the business quickly. That's all I have to have. Everything else is memories and niceties. Memories because I have a lot of things around here that hold special memories. Like even Walt, I don't know if you can't really see this. I'm in the way. Walt and Mickey, right? It reminds me of my Disney trips. It's very symbolic for me, but that's a memory, okay? It's not have to have. I need a roof over my head. Well, I've got friends, thanks, that have basements or extra rooms or whatever. A vehicle is a nice to have. There is transportation that I can pay for if I have cash, or I can walk my happy ass wherever I need to. My first business partner I ever had really got into running, and he would actually run to our meetings. Yeah, and yes, show up as if he just ran to the meeting. But he would. So like, it's not impossible to do it. You just have to finagle some things. Everything is temporary. So even if I was homeless and I only had a phone to my name, I could rebuild a business. But the next step is to get out of my own way mentally and emotionally. Because if I'm in the wrong headspace and the world around us shuts down, I'm not moving forward at all. There's only 3 ways to go. Forward, backward, or nowhere. You're staying stagnant or you're reverting. That's 90% of the people out there will do that. Are you going to take forward action? But to move forward, you really got to be able to think clearly. So that's that. Take a deep breath, do some box breathing, regulate your system so that you can have some clear thoughts. The other thing about regulating and getting to that space of finding that clear thought is that you have to literally walk yourself through this process of, I refuse to think about that right now. I'm going to think about this other thing. And you really start to focus on this other thing that brings you happiness, brings you joy. I have a worksheet, the centering protocol, I call it. And it's free to download. I may put the link in the show notes, but it's very simple because you know about pros and cons, right? You just draw a line down the center of a page, really is as simple as it gets until you get to the bottom. That one side of the page is all the things that energizes you, makes you super happy. And then on the other side is what drains your energy. So you have what fills your energy, what drains your energy. But what I found in my really rough moments is that I had no energy to work with. It was gone. So that's the bottom of the page. That's the bottom of the bucket, basically. What are the things that keeps me calm? What brings me peace? And I feel like I can rebuild from. So I could feel that. Like when I first saw this tool and it was just the 2 options, it was super easy for me to fill in everything that was going wrong, everything that drained me, but I could not think of things that energized me. I could think of things that, made me feel okay. I felt pretty happy about, like sitting in the porch swing, watching the hummingbirds at their feeder. I love that. It is so soothing, quite frankly. And in fact, we're taking a detour. This morning when I was sitting on a porch swing outside, my hummingbirds, I have like 4 of them flitting around. One of them has decided it likes me well enough to come right up in my face. But this morning, they were fascinated with my toenails. They kept flying down. My toenails are painted blue. I'm not going to show you my feet. No. But my toenails are painted blue. And they were just fascinated with them. They kept flying down to my toes. I'm like, what is going on with you? So I digress. But I just want to take a minute to thank the sponsor of our show, 502 Hemp in Louisville and 812 Hemp in Clarksville, Indiana. If you are looking for quality legal cannabis products, they are definitely your source. If you have questions of what would work best for you, their educated staff can help you choose the best product for your needs, like they did with me. I was having some real issues. One, my hormones were raging and I was raging all the time, just not in a very good place. And when I went into the store and I expressed everything that was going on, they asked additional questions that helped them get me to a solution. And the solution meaning better sleep at night, my inflammation's lower. I have been able to just be a better quality of life with my whole mental attitude because these things work great. My preference is the Maria products. That is a special blend that 502 Hemp owners have created themselves. And I use the Ultra Spectrum CBD gummies, the blood orange. It's 1,000 milligrams. Like this is the potent stuff, like meaning it's the highest milligrams I can get. And I need that for what my system needs. You may not need that much. They also have oils. And so I love the full spectrum here as well, but they have ranges and according to what you're looking for to help in your body, they can help guide you in that way. So check them out at either 502hemp.com or 812hemp.com. Or if you're driving by, stop in one of the stores and they will absolutely be able to help you out. There's no need to wait for a medical dispensary to open. They have safe, reliable products now. And if you stop in a store, tell them Christy sent you, they'll give you 15% off. And not only that, but if you order online, 502hemp.com or 812hemp.com, and you put in that discount code of success, you'll also get 15% off. So check them out today. And I very much appreciate them being a sponsor of Small Business Success Talk. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new segment of Small Business Success Talk. Actually, let's start this over. Boom, 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 boom. 3, 2. Welcome to a new segment of Small Business Success Talk called Origin Stories. Because why not? There's so many times that we as small businesses look at our own circumstances, our own surroundings, and think to ourselves, we're never going to make it. The uphill climb seems so daunting. And we tend to look at those companies that have already made it and forget that they even had an origin story. They went through the same kind of crap that we go through all the time now. So what I want to do is to be able to, let's bring that origin story to light to remind us even those guys had to figure it out somehow along the way. They didn't know what they were getting into. They started somewhere. And of course, today we're going to start with one of my favorite companies to study. And I have some, I just enjoy it so much when I go. We're going to start with the Walt Disney Company because it is one of my favorite companies to study. There's a lot that we can learn from them on how to do business and scale and provide happiness, provide ways that customers, guests can be happy. customer service, the way they train, their processes and systems and all of that kind of stuff. We can study that and take bits and pieces and apply it to our own organizations and companies and get better. Like, they've already worked it out. Why not just, what is that? It's R&D. It's reuse and duplicate. It's not hard. But they had to start from somewhere too. Now, with the Walt Disney Company, it is really hard to imagine. When I picked this company first, I sat and thought to myself, what was it like when my mom was little with Mickey Mouse? What was the Walt Disney Company like when my mom was little? And then I was like, shit. That was the Mickey Mouse Club TV Sunday nights. Like, they had TV for sure. Well, what was it like when her mom was little? Did she even have Mickey Mouse? Sure shit, and she did. I was like, oh, the concept of the timeline, the chronology of it, and my concept of how time flows now did not match up until I did this little project. So here we go. That humble beginning, because with Disney, they live that concept, that it all started with a mouse. When in fact it started a little bit earlier than a mouse. The mouse came a couple steps later, but the actual origin story is in 1923, over 100 years ago. Walt Elias Disney leaves Kansas City after being, told that he wasn't good enough to be an illustrator in papers, left with $40 in his pocket and a dream of animation. Just animation. He goes to be with his brother Roy, who was already out in Hollywood, and they found the Disney Brothers Studio. Their first project, the Alice Comedies, a series of combining live action and animation that starred a little girl named Alice. And she had all kinds of little woodland creatures she interacted with, all that kind of stuff. And in that process of animation, Walt learned a lot. They learned the business side of things. He learned the technology of things. He learned human behavior and how they responded to this animation, this wondrous aspect of things. And that's where he got jazzed, was creating more wondrous experiences for people. So keep that in mind as the Disney company expands. Now, where the mouse comes in is in 1928. After losing the rights to his character Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, Walt creates a new character, Mickey Mouse. The world meets Mickey in the animated short Steamboat Willie. The first cartoon with synchronized sound, and it's an instant hit. If you've never seen Steamboat Willie, he's in black and white. Turkey in the Straw was actually the music underneath of that, because I did some music study on Disney back in the day. All right, so let's fast forward to 1937. We still haven't hit. We haven't hit when I was born yet, okay? 1937, because I did think back, like, what was it like for my mom and then her mom? And I was like, oh, there is not a generation on this planet living right now who has no idea what it's like to live without Mickey Mouse in their purview. I'm pretty sure everybody on the planet has heard of Mickey Mouse. It's wild, okay? Back to 1937. Okay, so Mickey came out in 28. 37. First full-length animated film. Can you guess what that was? It's a certain dark-haired princess and her 7 little friends. Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. It premiered in Los Angeles. Massive success, earning $8 million, which equivalent to today's money would be $150 million today. And winning an honorary Oscar. And if you've never seen those pictures, there's also 7 little honorary Oscars to go with it for the dwarfs. It's so funny. Fast forward 1955. Disneyland opens. So Walt's sitting there one day at some sort of fair with his daughters going, man, it'd be nice to have a clean, safe place for families to enjoy this kind of stuff together. And Walt took that with his love of creating wondrous experiences and developed Disneyland. Let's see. Place where families can have fun together. July 17, 1955, Disneyland opens in Anaheim, California. Despite opening day being chaotic, It is known as Black Sunday. It eventually becomes the blueprint for theme parks worldwide. And I'm telling you, that Black Sunday, you do a deep dive on that. These women, it was 1955. Women wore heels everywhere. I'm not sure why we didn't get to non-heel approach a lot sooner. But, it's a fancy opening to a theme park, and the ladies who wore heels, because the blacktop, the asphalt had not hardened up yet, their shoes got stuck in it. So it's a Black Sunday. There was a lot of things that weren't perfect before opening day. But Walt also believed you got to get it out there. You got to get people to experience it. Things that were continually learned along the way. Now, 55 was Disneyland. It was 1971. Now, in between there, in 1971, Walt Disney World opens in Orlando, Florida. Walt actually passed in 1966. So let's do some of this timeline here. From 1923, convincing his brother that this is the thing to do is animation. And then moving all of this along to suddenly have Mickey Mouse. And by the way, his wife named Mickey Mouse. They were going to do Mortimer. And the Mortimer Mouse is a thing, and I think he was going to be something else. And she was like, why not just call him Mickey? And so Mickey stuck. And here we are. And I know from studying the business that the thing that really catapulted Mickey was the matchup, not just the animated short, but then the merchandising that went with it, so that people could take a piece of Mickey with them and not just leave him on the screen. So think about how you can do things like that in your own business. So from 1966 to 1971, production continued. And now we have Walt Disney World in Florida. We have Disneyland, we have Disney World. And even then, it's continued to expand this theme, just the theme park aspect has continued to have global expansion. There's Tokyo, there's Paris, there's Hong Kong, Shanghai. And I believe that there's another one coming out somewhere. That is, again, just the theme parks. We haven't even struck on Pixar, and they continue to buy up all of the media. Now, is that a little much? Maybe so. This global expansion from a mouse to world domination, it seems like a whole lot. It might seem a little out there at the moment, but the massive expansiveness and the rootedness in that origin story is what makes that work so freaking well. So if you have not taken the time to write down your origin story or even say it to a camera one day, I've had a guest on here, David Semmersheim, could help you with that in his business. Get your origin story threaded through everything that you do with your team and your clients, and remind yourself, this is progress. We're going to the vision. Have a vision, know your origin story, and in between, you're lining up the magic. That's what happens. As we all know, today the Walt Disney Company operates 12 theme parks worldwide, owns some of the biggest movie franchises. Hello, superheroes, and Star Wars, and Toy Story, all the Pixar stuff, and all of the classics. The vault's got to be full of things. And if you're not familiar with the Disney Vault, that was a method used during VHS tape days. Just saying. They also run streaming platforms. That's relatively new in the grand scheme of things. That reaches millions daily. And it's all sparked by Walt's belief in a mouse and a refusal to give up after failure. Walt was not perfect. The road was paved with plenty of potholes and not hardened blacktop. And still today, his legacy lives on because of the origin that it all started with a mouse. So let us not forget that we are all starting somewhere. So let's find the thing that works like magic in our own business, and let's continue to build that legacy through your business out in the world. So there you go. There's our first origin story. That is happy for me. That is centering for me. It's peaceful, in the moment, fully present, right there. That goes in my calming space at the bottom of that sheet. And then once I'm in a calm state, I can think about all of the amazing opportunities and things, and that jazzes me. My energy then starts to swell because now I've got hope and I've got a focus and a future. The Lord says to Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you, plans for a hope and a future. I'm going to give it to you. Like, we just have to look for it, but I got to be calm to be able to see it. I got to be at peace for a moment. It just takes a moment. So whatever that looks like for you, get to it. Okay. Taking in the midst of chaos, you need to be able to take a breath so that you can see your first step. What is the first step that's the most important thing to do? And only take that step, because the chaos can be so much. You can't plan 10 steps ahead. Sometimes, yes, you can. You can take that because, again, strategy, I love strategic planning. You can take steps, right? You can vision out what you want next year. Let's just take a year from now. And you can say, okay, it's going to take 10 steps to get there. And so you know what your first steps look like. But when shit hits the fan and everything is just swirling around you, you literally can only take the next step and then focus on that next step, and that's it. I will even tell people, if we're making this big strategic plan, don't live in the last step. You need to live in the first step while letting that last step give you the energy for the first step. I'm going to say it again. When you're in the midst of that first step, you stay fully present with that first step, but you are allowing the energy you get from the hope and the excitement of the last step to fuel the step you're in right now. The hope energizes us emotionally, and emotions are what fuel our actions, our decision making. And so I understand that well enough to know, like, get calm, take some breaths, then you'll know what the best next thing is to do. So back to the story of the business. I've gotten through the rebrand. I'm redoing the business model, and I'm working all the verbiage of how to introduce myself when I'm out in the world, and how do I have those conversations? What kind of conversations do I have now? And a lot of my decisions is I'm focusing on what the connection is that I'm having with somebody. So can I create a conversation, and am I making the connection? And what does that connection feel like? If it feels good, we're going all in on something. I already know, like, in the past, my best clients have been the ones that I've had the best connection with. So now it's like, all right, how can I be strategic about finding those people I want great connections with? So they tell you the proverbial they, and I would also be the part of the they that would tell you, niche down, niche, whatever you want to call that. You are going to hone in as tight as you possibly can your message that is for that one ideal client that has one problem that you're bringing one solution to. Now, I can already tell you, I have clients who have hundreds of problems, and that is the one problem I help solve. When I came to that, I was like, oh, that is a problem. Having too many problems is a problem. And so I help that leader find the priority of which to then make bold decisions for. That's how we get there. And so that's one of my first steps with people is we've got to clear the clutter so you can find the point of clarity, and we can make the best, most efficient, bold decision we can now that helps move everything else forward. If they're in that kind of a state, because the other thing we need to do, which is always the hardest, you have to decide and define what you really want. And if you're going to tell me you want more money, that ain't the answer. What does that actually get you? What does more money get you? What do you think more money is going to get you. Because I haven't had the most money in the world. Full transparency, I've not cracked $1 million yet. I have cracked six figures. Not this year, but I cracked 6 figures. This year is tanked. Told you, ditch, financial, dark, dank, dungeon of a ditch right now. But it's temporary. I have always visioned myself traveling the world. I love to travel. Remember, I'm not a millionaire. But I've been to Africa. I've been to the Philippines. I've been to Romania. I've been to the Dominican. I've managed to go to some places all across the U.S. And not one time did it require me to be a millionaire to do travel. It required a plan and some discipline for the cash. That's really all that was one option. The other is getting paid to go to certain places so that I can speak, do a training, do a facilitation, and enjoy the location while I'm there. So that's part of my strategy. So one of the reasons why I love the opportunities this show particularly has, because I love doing on-site. I'm going to get better. I'm going to have better equipment, bringing it on site. I can go anywhere with this show. So I do have some ideas cooking in the background. But being able to stop for a hot second, take a breath so you can see clearly what your next step is really the biggest step you can take. The other thing about really defining and deciding what you want, we do think it's more money. Like we get so hyper-focused on making more money happen that we lose sight of why we're doing things in the first place. So when I'm working with clients, I always will ask them, why did you start the business? And there's always a story to it. You hear it on this show. Give me your origin story. Why did you start the business in the first place? What is it about that business that jazzes you? I ask those questions on purpose because we all need to be reminded. And there is that story. There's the purpose, the reason why you're doing the business in the first place. For me, it's twofold. I have a very selfish reason for doing the business, and I have a very altruistic reason for doing the business. Because the world is full of ands, not buts. You shouldn't close yourself off that way. I love to help people find that point of clarity and take the best next step. I love it. Especially those people who love superheroes. Like if you are a superhero fan and you want to be a bold leader, we are connecting on a much different level because why not have some fun while you're doing it? And my approach blends the hero's journey into it. And so if you are not a fan of a hero fandom at all, it doesn't necessarily have to be a superhero, but like if you're not familiar with a hero story and you're not a fan of it, you're not my client. You are not a person who is going to gravitate to me. And that's the nuance of my niche. I can go out here, like I work with those C-suite leaders who want to build high performing teams. Yes, that sounds great, doesn't it? Of course it sounds great. But you might be an ass, and I don't want to work with that. So I'd like to weed that out ahead of time. If we can geek out about superheroes, great. We already have something in common. So that's kind of been my approach as far as the words go. But coming back to visioning what you really want. So my altruistic, my selfish, let's go with selfish. I don't want to have to work for somebody else. I want my freedom. I love the flexibility even with all the demands and the pressure and the financial ditch right now. Every moment of this is worth it for me to be able to make decisions for myself, for me to be, master of my fate, captain of my soul kind of thing. I am in charge of my life. The Lord is my savior. He's there to help me whenever. My eternity is set, but I still make my own decisions for every day. And I'm here to co-create with the Spirit. And that's what we want to do. Somebody else telling me what to do is not any of that to me. So that's my selfish reason. My altruistic reason is I really, really, really do like to help ignite that spark for other people, because to see the ripple effect of what they do in the world, and I got to be there for that, that is amazing. That is so humbling and amazing. And it jazzes me. The potential that people have, and I get to help unlock that. That's what jazzes me. So if you've ever thought about any of that stuff, let's connect and have that conversation. So what I would also share with you as a little bit of a wrap up on this conversation is that while change is hard at times, and if you did not do it on purpose and it's happening to you, the best thing that you can do is take a minute and just breathe. Just breathe. Ask yourself, what are you running to and what are you running from in that moment? My family background, so it's in my DNA. I have a lot of alcoholics and addicts. I was married to one, dated another one. Like it's behavior driven. It is neurologically set. So I've been working on getting rid of that too. So whenever I'm not afraid to take a drink, that's not my problem, because I stop myself. I take that breath and I ask, am I wanting to drink this drink because I need a break from the day and this is what I'm running to? Or is it because like, ooh, I want this flavor? 9 times out of 10, it's always the flavor. Like I actually like a good cocktail. But the bigger challenge for me, pizza or potato chips. I'm like, look at me. Food, stress, cortisol loves me. Why not feed it? So I do have to ask myself, I'm like, am I choosing this food? Because in high stress situations, I don't like to stress eat. So I don't really stress eat. I boredom eat. I need to munch on some things. So I have healthy snacks, and that's the thing. Am I going to choose pizza because I'm ready to stress eat, or am I going to choose cherries or something much healthier? There's a lot of work to be done in ourselves before we take action in our business. That's the bottom line to all of this about change. You have to be able to control yourself. You can't control anything else. Nothing else is under your control. Whether you realize that or not, you're going to find out. But you can master your emotions. You can control the energy that you have in a day. Once you learn to navigate yourself and master it, you can give your body, your mind, your soul what it needs to be able to be in full alignment with why you're here on this planet and what you're doing every day and making it match up, as well as taking care of your own damn self. Self-care is a mandatory, but it doesn't always have to be like a spa or a bubble bath. Self-care can really be, I am going to take that 30 minutes in the morning to wake up before I talk to anybody. Nobody's allowed to talk to me before 9 a.m. You are taking your life in your own hands, because I don't have coffee anymore. I took a food program so I could do an elimination diet, figure out other like sensitivities. I had to get off coffee. I do not recommend that for anybody. That was a hard change that I did on purpose. Yeah, in the midst of all this other crap, I really don't know sometimes what I'm thinking. I take on a lot at once, but I'm still here. I managed to make it through. That also was temporary. And now I make better food choices, which is great, because now I know that my body doesn't like certain oils, like deep fried stuff. It's the oil. I can deep fry it in avocado oil or olive oil, but I cannot deep fry it in canola. You can't. So certain things that I've learned has been fascinating, whole different subject for a different day. But I do really want to say thank you. If you have listened to this up to this point, all the way to the end of this conversation, thank you so much for being a part of what this show is doing. I'm looking forward to continuing to grow the audience. It's a slow grow. I've been and so sorry I've been inconsistent, but it is back to just me. So I do what I can do. There are more guests coming up. Make no mistake, my one of our upcoming shows will have Dee Dee Taylor again. I'm excited to talk to her because I want to get an update on the hemp industry and what it's doing in Kentucky to her business. So we're going to get an update from Dee Dee. We're going to get an update from Jeff Taylor with Z-Jack. We're going to get up some updates around here. I'm also looking forward to Jennifer Bryant, Mix the Metal. So if you haven't checked out some of those older episodes, please go back into the list and pull up some of those. They're amazing people that I've been able to interview over the years, and I am going to continue to do this show. It might be as inconsistent as I don't want it to be inconsistent. I really don't. I really love doing it. But, capacity. I only have capacity for so much every day. Also, am writing a book. So that should be releasing, I hope, by the end of the month. I should have it out of my head this weekend because I have a couple chapters from scratch to do. And then it's off to my publishing company to finish out the rest. So looking forward to that. Stay tuned for it. And also, thank you for enjoying the segments. If you haven't noticed in some of these shows, there are special segments in every episode. Everything from Southern Fried Gossip, which is a friend of mine, Kelly Swanson, CSP, award-winning speaker. She is an amazing master storyteller. And honestly, Southern Fried Gossip is just a hoot and a half. Love it. Then we also have Being Super Spotlights. We have Origin Stories is coming up in this episode, and we have Book Club. So thank you for checking out the segments. Thank you for growing with us in the show. Please connect with me. Let me know what you think. We have the email, subscribe, this and that and the other. Do all the things. But subscribe, share, tell your friends, and come back for the next episode of Small Business Success Talk. I have been your host, Christy Smallwood, telling my own story today and encouraging you to take a breath in the midst of chaos and change so that you can find your point of clarity, have hope again, and go make your own kind of success. See you again on the next episode.